Hello, Leon County family. I am delighted here to share with you, as we try to do every month, an update on where we are and what's ahead of us. First of all, let me thank each and every one of you for the great job you've done. And not only last week, this past weekend with the response to the protest march. I think our staff, our deputies, entire staff did an outstanding job of preparation, and then our response very measured. And obviously that hasn't gone away. And it looks like we'll have another protest on Wednesday and perhaps Thursday and Friday as well. So I want to make sure our staff get as much rest as we possibly can. Again, I know this is taxing and it's very uncomfortable for many of us, particularly now it's starting to heat up. But I want to, again, commend you and thank you for your patience. And I think you all realize the horrific death that occurred in Minneapolis and how that's resonating all across the country. And I'm proud of the fact that the Leon County Sheriff's Office has always been professional and above that type behavior. And again, I want to commend you all for that work. Now, speaking of work, the primary purpose of this video is to share with you our next step as we go into phase 2 of the COVID outbreak. I'm going to read from our notes here so I can be very specific and hopefully not make any mistakes relative to the direction we're going. But first, effective June 5th of 2020, the Patrol Division shall resume normal operations and revert to normal call response procedures. Citizen ride-alongs shall remain suspended. Effective June 5th, 2020, FTOs and recruits shall resume traditional staffing and vehicle assignments. Effective June 5th, the Criminal Investigation Division shall resume operations with 30% complement returning to the office as determined and assigned by the Chief of Law Enforcement and the investigators. Effective June 5th, also, crime scene shall resume with 1 detective working in the office. Effective June 5th, travel shall be expanded to the state of Florida, with the exception of hot spots as defined by the Florida Health Department. Continuation of all CDC guidelines and social distancing is required. Upon return, the travel summary questionnaire sheet shall be completed via the Smart Sheet for any travel beyond our judicial circuit. HR will review and determine if any risk behavior or exposure may have occurred and will consult with the appropriate assistant sheriff or chief of staff. If it is determined that there is an exposure risk, COVID testing or 14-day self-quarantine shall be required. If the member elects to be tested for COVID, the member will be required to self-quarantine until a negative result is received, and self-quarantine period will be deducted from their leave balance. If the employee elects to self-quarantine rather than take the COVID test, the 14-day quarantine period shall be deducted from their leave balance. Also effective June 5th, 2020, all extra duty details shall resume, with the exception of any details that involve social events, that is parties and those type of social events. However, all members working off-duty details shall maintain social distancing and follow CDC guidelines. Now let's switch to July 1st of 2020. The lobby to the administration building shall be reopened in accordance with recommended CDC guidelines. Also effective July 1st, the bailiff unit shall resume total operations. We will get this information out to you in a directed memo, hopefully today. And again, if there are any questions, seek out your assistant sheriff, HR, or the chief of staff. Now let me, as I close here, reemphasize to each and every one of you. First of all, I hope that the decision I made at the outbreak of COVID, I know it was a hardship on many of you. I know that some of you had travel plans that my decision interrupted. I certainly understand that and empathize and sympathize with you. But please understand that every action I've taken has been to make sure that we keep you safe, your family members safe at your home, and your family members here at the Leon County Sheriff's Office. And equally important, to keep the citizens of Leon County safe as we deal with this horrific pandemic that's struck our community. Let me say to you as well, I believe wholeheartedly in the great work that you do. And I know that this hardship that we're in right now with COVID, that this too shall pass, as I often say, and we'll be back to normal, hopefully before this year is out. And I just want to express to you again my appreciation for your courage. Those of you who are in the FTO program, I know that was a hardship for you and the PO. I know it was different, riding in separate cars, but I believe when I made that decision, that was the best decision for you and for the probationary officer. Again, if there are any questions, this directing memo will get out to you today. And if there are any questions whatsoever, seek out your assistant sheriff, HR, Ms. Mary Nicholson, or Ron Cave. Thank you again. God bless. And as always, all in.